If you're tired of living check to check and want to start investing in real estate, this low startup cost strategy might be the one for you. In this video, I'm going to break down the rent-to-rent strategy in the well-traveled city of Washington, DC. Here, you can learn how you can double your investment within 1 year's time if done right. On this channel, I cover living globally and how to afford it. I have Airbnb units in the United States and internationally, and feel it's a great way to travel the world while earning passive income. My name is Carl Pierre, and this is ENTP Life. Washington, D.C. is the nation's capital, packed full of history, making it a highly visited city for people who are in town for work or just to sightsee. This is why I'm choosing D.C. as a place with the characteristics to look for when looking to start this side hustle. Whenever I'm touring a city that I'm considering hosting Airbnbs in, I have to do what the local people do. So I stopped by this coffee shop just to people watch and see exactly what the atmosphere feels like. I had time to just sit back and really think about my overall experience in the city. Now, Washington, D.C. is a pretty cool city because it's old, and it reminds me a lot of old New York, Brooklyn, Manhattan, because a lot of the structures in this town are these brick townhouses built in the late 18th century. I'm sure I'm not the only one who loves these.
Here's an example of a property that looks vacant. Architecturally speaking, it's gorgeous, but if you start looking at the details, you'll see that it's been neglected. You've got broken windows. If you look at this window over here, look at the framing of that window, it's wood completely rotted out. Doesn't look like anybody lives here at all. The garbage bins are empty. Don't know if anybody's tending to it. Has underground tanks, which could be a problem. These are oil tanks. Let's circle around to the front of this thing so you can see what it looks like from the street view. The front door is boarded up. And again, all these windows look like they haven't been opened in a while. The only thing that's interesting to me is like you got these cones. The grass is somewhat cut, right? The grass isn't overgrown. So is somebody tending to this property? I have no idea, but it has the hallmarks of a distressed property and something that you can try to pick up and renovate. The most important thing is to find out who the owner is, if they're interested in selling. It might be a city-owned property. It might be somebody who's more like a recluse who is okay with the house being in this condition and they're not going to sell, they're not going to move. Obviously, it's their right to maintain their property however they want, as long as it's safe for themselves and others. But those are the type of properties that I would look for while house hunting here in DC, because those would make my list of potentially distressed assets that people might sell on a discount, either because they're looking to liquidate the asset or they don't care for it. Could be corporate owned, could be church owned, probably that. But if you look up the address, you'll be able to find out. Just up the street, here's another example of a property that's been neglected. Right here, look at this. Right here you have a renovated property. It looks like it's in good condition. And here's its identical townhouse. Air conditioner beat up, hanging out the window. Look at the windows. Look at the ground level. Starting to buckle there in the corner. Obviously it needs some help. There's some chairs on the porch. I don't know if you can see that. But this obviously is a distressed property that who knows who the owner is and what's going on here. But you know what, I could ask. Quick question. You ever know if anybody owns 1811 or lives there?
The house, the black and white house?
Next to the black and white house, the one that's like kind of beat up.
No.
You haven't seen anybody who owns that or lives there just empty?
No.
Cool, thank you. But yeah, in those cases, I'd ask their neighbors if they know anything about a particular home, if they know the owner. Sometimes the neighbors do, like, oh, that's, I know the grandson, or I know somebody who owns the property, or something along those lines. But he didn't know. Here's a really good example of what could be done with that other property. Look at what these guys did to this house. It's tastefully redone, updated, corner unit, similar attributes if you want to think about it from a timepiece standpoint. It's not the same style of house, but it has about the same size, Really nice. So it's this brick corner townhouse. They used a black and white theme. It seems that they broke it out into 4 apartments with some decent landscaping on the outside, but this house looks rather attractive. They probably did a substantial renovation. You've got this ground level, perfect for an accessory apartment. That's 1 unit there. You see it's got 4 meters, 4 mailboxes. If you go through the back, see if you could look in, each floor has its own kind of patio and egress. Who knows if they did this as a condo or if it's just a 4-unit home. I think it's tastefully done. I like the style of it. And this shows you what's really possible if you got a little money to spend and you buy right at the right prices. I might have to hit this spot later to get my oxtail. Hopefully they have it and it doesn't cost $7,000.
I was in Washington, D.C. for a wedding and stayed in an Airbnb apartment while I was there. It got me thinking that I should do a video and provide a financial breakdown of how it all works. So let's analyze this assuming a rent-to-rent strategy. Here's the exact listing and how it's set up on Airbnb today. As you can see, they list this property for $155 a night. It's advertised as a 1-bedroom, 1-bath, and as you remember seeing, it was a lower level walk-through apartment. For the month of November, which we're in right now, you can see that they were mostly booked up with only a few days open. So let's just count how many days they were open. They were open 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 days in the month of November. So that means that 24 days out of the month they're booked. December seems to be wide open, but that seems to be unusual because if you go a little bit further, they're booked out for months straight until April 18th. So maybe they just had a cancellation. But either way, if you assume an 80% occupancy rate and 24 nights or even lower, 21 nights a month booked, you should do pretty well at $155 a night. Just using some quick math, that should generate at least $3,000 a month. I took it one step further and I found a similar property in the same neighborhood renting for $1,700 a month. Or actually, it's rounded up to $1,800. As you can see, it has a similar appeal. It's a lower level apartment, renovated, it's not in bad shape. It needs to be furnished, but ultimately it looks pretty good. So just right there, renting 21 days out of 30 or having a close to 70% booking rate generates $3,000 or more per month, while the rent is only $1,700. You factor in your utilities like water, heat, and electricity, and a property like this, I believe, could spin off easily $800 a month. Assuming that the move-in cost is going to be $6,000 for 1 month security, 1 month's rent, and a broker's fee, that leaves you with $4,000 to furnish the space. So on your $10,000 investment, you're going to make $800 a month on the low side, which equals $9,600 a year. So just doing some quick math, you can see that if you're booked only 21 days a month, you're in a position to clear almost $10,000 a year. So with a $10,000 starting price, you could lease, furnish, and list properties just like this. If you want more information on how to do this, or you're interested in investing in my next vacation property, DM me the word Airbnb on Instagram or email me invest@entplife.com. I can share information on our upcoming projects. This is only a concept, and you might be suspicious if this is really possible. If you want more proof, check out how this all works. I did a similar video on my very first Airbnb in New York City, which I've made thousands of dollars over the years. You could get into this vacation rental business yourself.